What's up, TikTok? This is Jordan, the stand-up lawyer, and today is my latest segment of Lawyer Explains the News. So some of you may have heard that Drake is purportedly being sued by a model for putting hot sauce in his condom to, quote, kill the sperm. Now, this sounds like a paranoid fantasy of men's rights activists, but apparently there is decades of case law relating to the unauthorized use of sperm to get yourself pregnant. And I'm sorry to say this, but there are actually nomenclature for it. You may be familiar with sperm jacking, and I just found out that the British refer to this as spurgling. Yep, spurgling, one of those words that means exactly like it sounds like. So I'm not sure how this case will exactly go, but there actually is decades of case law that deal with what is essentially a property question, namely, who owns the sperm in a sexual encounter? Well, in 2005, an Illinois Court of Appeals addressed the property status of, well, what a man leaves behind. In the case of Phillips versus Irons, two doctors were having sexual encounters together while one of the doctors was cheating on her husband at the time. They had plenty of sexual encounters, but the two agreed that they weren't going to have children until everything in their lives had been resolved. Well, what Dr. Irons had done is, after she went down on her fellow doctor, she kept the sperm and impregnated herself with it, and 2 years later, she sued him for child support. In response, Dr. Phillips sued Dr. Irons for several causes of action: fraudulent misrepresentation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and conversion, which is a fancy lawyer term for interfering with one's property rights. And the decision came out, well, much like the acts of sex themselves, a little bit strange than you would have expected. And in 2005, the Illinois Court of Appeals ruled that legally, when the sperm leaves a man's body, that is an unconditional gift given to the other person, and you cannot sue for unlawful conversion, because when a man gives his seed, that is, well, legally a gift. And for the same reasons, they would not sustain a fraudulent misrepresentation claim, since that's normally an economic tort, but they did uphold the intentional infliction of emotional distress on the argument that he engaged in the sexual encounter and it happened in a way that no reasonable person would expect. But the funniest thing is that sperm, yes, is legally a gift. So ladies, don't say we never gave you anything.